Hello internet friends, and welcome back to the Legion Beta. Second pass look here now at the Marksman Hunter. And I have on the action camera right now to give a little bit more pizzazz to this video, because I only did like just over 3 hours of testing today on Marksman. That's not to say the class is like bad, it's just very straightforward. It's I'm not a ranged DPS player. I'm a melee player. So my things I like about melee are not always relatable when it comes to ranged DPS. But of course I test everything out just the same. But Marksman is just very, I want to say simple, but that's like not the right word. To put it in perspective, I think it could be just my melee, likes coming through here, but I thought survival was a lot more difficult and engaging, had a higher skill ceiling. Marksmanship has some hooks, but right now, and it just got some updates on this build that came out, it's just kind of there. And we'll walk through everything, of course, here real quick. We'll go through the basic spellbook, and we'll go through Thas'dorah, Legacy of the Windrunners, which is the bow of one very special, which I will not spoil too much, of course. But we'll go through the basic spellbook, then we'll go through talents, and then we'll go through everything else. So, well, spellbook, artifact perks, and then we'll go through talents. But I'm going to have to go back and forth a little bit on talents, because this might be a shorter video, because a lot of this is like, this does this. Next. And that just happens. But anyway, so overall for the Marksman Hunter, you can have a pet. I have Lone Wolf currently talented, but if you talent away from Lone Wolf, you can definitely, get out of here, honor talents, summon your pet. Hi Zappy. You okay back there? I think you can definitely use a pet for leveling, because it tanks for you, right? Obviously, it tanks for you. Pet, tanks for you. I was thinking like, well, why don't you have a tenacity pet that tanks for you, because it'll just tank all the damage and you'll do everything. But I guess ferocity pets are still okay. But you might want to have a tenacity pet, obviously, for like tanking elites or like rares and stuff like that. That might be a little bit more damage reduction, because by default, the Marksman Hunter has nothing to go with your pet. None. All your pet does is whatever pet abilities it has, and that's it. There's no other synergies whatsoever. They give it back to you, I assume, because of the class fantasy, and if you want to have a pet while leveling or for whatever reason, you can. But overall, by default, not having Lone Wolf is just straight up a DPS loss. I don't know if your pet would ever do 20% of your damage in additional damage to make the benefit of it. So Lone Wolf is just a straight up damage increase overall of the entire spec, right? And in a real way, in that same regard, Marksman Hunter has a lot of multiplicative stacking damage amps. And it's very simple to look at, but I am very concerned that it'll suffer from like the Windwalker Monk syndrome. So we'll see about that. But let's talk about the basics you have here. So your mastery is now sniper training. The range of all of your ranged abilities is increased by a very small percentage, which is actually what is shown on your mastery sheet. This is a add-on. If you want to see what add-on this is, or the full Hunter VOD, or my notes, there is actually a thread with a bunch of blue post clarifications on a couple of things of the Marksman Hunter in the description box below. All that is linked down there for you. Ways to support my channel here, or on Twitch, or wherever else. Thank you all so much that have. That's why my audio sounds so much different and better now. Still get little tweaks left, but we're getting there. But all of that is below in the video description box in this video. So your sniper training also gives you increased damage on all focus spending abilities by a much larger percentage. It's four times as much, right? So 99 is 18, 18, 18 is... it's almost there, right? So it's not exactly 36. It's like a little bit higher than that. But it's somewhere in there. Or 40. I don't know, man. Math is not my strong suit after I've been testing all day and all week. But you gain a multiplicative bonus of the base amount as It's like 4%, or four times as much, right? Because when you have 10% here with the bow on, real quick, yeah, it's like 41%. So it's not exactly 4 times. So it's just somewhere in there, like 10%. There's probably some integer back there, but it's 41% damage on focus abilities. But it makes you shoot from very far away and does more damage on focus spending abilities. Again, I have Lone Wolf talented right now. Hunting Party, which is weird, because most of the time you're not going to have a pet out. But after you kill a target, the remaining cooldown of Exhilaration is reduced by 30 seconds. Exhilaration is baseline for all hunters now. For Marksman, however, it's a 50% heal. 50% heal. It's huge. That's like wicked, wicked ridiculous. And actually, I'm noticing right now that I think something's broken on my... Yep, this is a weird bug that's happening right now with the beta. Live fixing, because I just noticed the refresh rate was a little problematic in my video. Oh, no. Beta will beta, right? There, we're back. But Exhilaration is half your HP. It's a 2-minute cooldown health stone. And as you kill stuff or land killing blows in raids, you get 30 seconds off of it. So it could come in handy in raids and dungeons, but mostly it's a huge bonus to solo content, which is fine. But Hunting Party is you're normally by yourself. So it's kind of a weird name of an ability. Hunter's Mark is a passive where your auto shots have a chance to cause your next arcane shot or multi-shot to apply Hunter's Mark. Hunter's Mark activates Marked Shot. So on auto shots, it procs to light up arcane or multi for either single target or for AoE to allow you to mark the target, and then marking a target gives you the ability to cast Marked Shot. This spec is very much hit whatever lights up. I'm not kidding. It's like a Disco Inferno where you just hit whatever lights up. And it's kind of strange that way. I mean, it's maybe you like that playstyle. Bombardment is a critical strike bonus damage. Whenever you get a multi-shot critical strikes, you'll gain 60% more damage on multi-shots. I keep wanting to say multi-strike. No, it's gone. It's dead forever. Yes. But, so you gain more multi-shot damage after you get a crit on a multi-shot for 5 seconds. That is the baseline of your passives. Your only cooldown, like DPS-wise, is True Shot. Even in all of your talents, there's no DPS cooldown. There are other passives and other abilities, but there are no other DPS cooldowns to speak of. True Shot is 40% haste for 15 seconds. And then in that 15-second window on a 3-minute cooldown, Arcane Shot and Multi-Shot always apply Hunter's Mark. Stat-wise for the Marksman Hunter, I'm not sure exactly, because one talent makes crit really bad, and one talent makes crit really good. So I'm sort of on this fence right now. I don't know personally, but I'm sure the Mathcrafter community will find out. But it might be Haste Mastery Crit Verse, but it also could be like Crit Mastery Haste Verse. So I don't know. It just depends on how balancing works out, because right now, like, Haste is good for lowering the cast time and the recharge time of certain abilities, but crit is also good, but crit isn't that good for certain things because of a build you might take, because you're over crit cap on certain abilities, so you don't need crit. But then Mastery is just flat damage on all your focus abilities, and Versatility is flat damage on everything, so we'll see. Your pet utility, of course, is all here. Revive pet is mend pet when you have a pet out or not. So all that stuff is still here in the pet utility talent. You have misdirection as marksmanship. So for the next 8 seconds, you misdirect all threat you cause the targeted party or raid member. 30-second cooldown. You saw Flare there. Flare got bugged this patch. It doesn't have the ground effect right now, but it still has like the falling flare, but it could be a bug. Still have Feign Death, of course. You fail on the ground, Making exhilarations right there. Eagle Eye, you can still Eagle Eye around and stuff like that, of course, which it kind of breaks, apparently, which is not really like, it's not Farsight exactly, but I guess there's a macro you can use to make Eagle Eye actually work properly. Eagle Eye over here, no big deal. Yeah, okay, it's fine. You have Disengage, of course. You don't have Disengage on Survival Hunter, you have Harpoon, so you have Disengage as a Marksman Hunter. You can fly backwards there. That's post-haste you're seeing right there as a talent. It's giving me that little sprint action there. But Disengage is a 20-second cooldown where you leap backward. And I didn't know how long the actual leap distance was. I think it's like 15 to 20 yards without having any terrain. But of course, if you have like terrain modifying your disengage, you get more distance on that. And if you jump when you do it as well, you get a lot more distance out of it. So I don't know. You have counter shot, which is your ranged interrupt, 24-second cooldown, 3-second spell school interrupt. Concussive shot is your 50% daze, or it's a movement slow for 6 seconds. You have your call pet, of course, your little stable here. Bursting shot is your melee. It's like scatter shot, but not as good. So it's a very close melee range disorient. It's just a gouge. It does some physical damage, and it disorients the target. So you have to be in melee range for it. So it's not a huge deal. And then here's concussive, and then there's interrupting shot, whatever it's called, counter shot, as it were. And we've got aspect of the turtle. Aspect of the turtle. I still can't say that damn word. So you deflect all attacks, deflect, not reflect. Deflect all attacks, reduces all damage you take by 30% for 8 seconds. You cannot attack while doing this. You can cast abilities, like some abilities can be cast during this, like you can still disengage or you can cheetah and whatnot, but you can't actually attack during turtle, which just replaces your mirrored blades, glyph, deterrence. Couldn't think of the word there for a minute. My brain farted. But deterrence lasts for a shorter window with charges, where turtle is a longer cooldown that lasts longer. So I was told overall turtle is still a upgrade over deterrence, but you're only going to get so many of them during an encounter, but everyone sort of has only so many survival cooldowns anymore now anyway. You have cheetah as well, which is a 90% sprint for 3 seconds, followed by a 30% sprint for 9 on a 3-minute cooldown. And then DPS-wise, we have arcane shot, generates focus, and it marks the target if you actually proc the marked target right there. You have aim shot, which is a 50 focus cast channeled spell. You cannot move and cast aim shot. It is a channeled spell. You are a kind of a sniper class, so you cannot move and channel this. You can move while casting arcane. You also have marked shot, which marked shot can only be cast on something that has been marked. And then it costs 30 focus, and it will rapidly fire shots at all targets which are marked with Hunter's Mark. So if you AoE, and the AoE actually lets you get the proc off here, maybe, then you will AoE everything around you. But I have to get an auto shot to proc the marked effect, which obviously is random. It's not happening right now, of course, on camera, because why would it? But if you're multi-shotting, there you go. Multi-shot, it marks everything around here, and then you get boom, boom, boom. You get extra little marked shot. So marked shot deals some physical damage, and it makes them vulnerable for 30 seconds. So vulnerable is a stacking buff right here, where it increases the damage from your marked and aim shot by 75%. The extra line you're seeing there is from an artifact perk. We'll get there in a moment. But by default, marked shot just increases the damage of aimed and marked on that target. That's it. It also facilitates you to be AoEing with that marked shot as well. Multi-shot just costs nothing but a global, and it generates 2 focus per target hit. It deals light physical damage. But again, of course, if you get the crit, you will gain bombardment, which will give you more multi-shot damage. And then if you get the proc right there, you can put your extra marked shots all over the extra targets as well, which gives you that little bit of extra AoE synergy there. So you're seeing steady focus proc right now. That's from a talent. It's just the weakest one I could show on the video without making anything crazy. But that is literally the rotation. Like, without taking into account anything else, not only can I attack from, like, way over here, right here. Like, the rotation is just whenever mark shot lights up, you hit it, and you hit aim shot. You weave in your marked shots, you weave in your arcane shots, give you back some focus. Mark shot, aim shot, you're seeing artifact perks fly off right there. Those are your wind arrows. It is very, very, very basic. You can pop your true shot right here, which just gives you that little extra buff. The haste really speeds up the rotation, obviously. Not only does haste give you more focus generation, it lowers your global cooldown, it lowers your cast time on aim shot. Everything gets a little faster, right? The buff you're seeing on the bar up there is from an artifact perk as well, as with many things right now you're seeing. But the overall rotation is just hit what lights up, and if not, hit aim shot. If nothing lights up, hit arcane shot to get focus. It's just not the core of the rotation. I wanted to believe it was easy because some of the talents were going to give you like a ton of craziness, kind of like how survival worked. Survival's core rotation of like the building and spending phase, or I guess the burn and conserve phase of Mongoose Bite, was a little different. Whereas Marksman has other things, but that's all they have baseline. This is it. This is all you do. You hit Mark Shot, you weave in a bunch of aim shots and arcane shots after you hit anything else, and you hit Mark Shot again to keep your vulnerability stack up there. And this is all that happens. It's a little strange that it's this simple. And again, you can't move while casting aim shot. So we'll look at your artifact real quick, and we'll get a little bit more detailed here. So your artifact, which is Thas'dorah, Legacy of the Windrunners. Thas'dorah. You're gonna be like kind of elven-y. I don't know. I can't make an elven accent. Anyone in comment section below? So you have Wind Burst, 20 focus. It's a GCD cast time, 20-second cooldown, where you focus the power of the wind through Thas'dorah, and you deal a whole bunch of physical damage to your target, and you leave behind a trail of wind that for 5 seconds has an increased movement speed of yourself or other allies running over it or through it for 50% for the duration of the 5-second window there. But it's just kind of, it looks okay. They fixed the graphic, by the way. The graphic looks a lot better. And you get this super crazy movement speed buff when you're on top of it. But that's it, really. It doesn't really do a whole lot else besides that. It does damage. It's rotational. It's a good extra filler button to hit, but it's not really part of your core rotation. The movement speed is okay, I suppose, for a little bit of raid utility because it's going to be like, in the melee a lot, basically, to get that extra wind burst movement speed on top of this, right? So actually, it might be, is it broken on that terrain right there? I don't think I was gaining the movement speed. It could be that the action camera is tricking me, but I also didn't see the movement speed buff on my my bar. Did the build today break the movement speed ground? Let me go over here and cast it on more level ground. That could be the problem with it. Yeah, I'm not getting a movement speed. Oh. Oh, this build today broke the movement speed aura. It worked yesterday. Oh, well. But that's how it's supposed to be. It's supposed to give you a movement speed aura when you're on, and it like lasts for a small duration as you run over it, so you keep it for a little bit longer than you actually do when you're just walking over it. But it's okay, I guess. But artifact perk time. Wind arrows, 10% more damage done by aimed shot. Called shot is 10% more damage on multi-shot. Quick shot reduces the cooldown of true shot by 30 seconds, so it's now a 2.5 minute cooldown. So yeah, it'd be 2.5 minutes right there. Yeah, still says 3 minutes because it's a little bit above. It's still closer to it, but it's 2.5 on the overall cooldown there. So that's not bad. There's no other cooldowns to line up with true shot like there are with survival, so it's straightforward. Critical focus is arcane shot crits will generate 5 additional focus. So there's some crit synergies here, which is why I think crit is pretty good. But when we go deeper, you'll realize that crit is kind of like, oh, okay. Survival of the Fittest gives you a 10% DR after you disengage. After you land, you get this 10% damage reduction. Again, I have post haste right now, which is a talent. We have Precision, which increases the critical strike chance of marked shot by 10%. Okay. And this is the marked for death you saw there. Marked shot will increase the aimed shot critical strike chance against the target by 15% for 10 seconds. So that's what you were seeing earlier on the vulnerable, is that you gain 15% critical strike chance on aim shot per stack. So it does go up to 45% here at 3 stacks. And vulnerable was always up forever and ever and ever and ever. So the nose itches. So you have 45% crit right now on aim shot, and I have 21% crit base. So we're at 66% crit already, damn you nose, on aim shot. And that's your heaviest hitting, most prioritizing ability. And then, of course, the damage of aim shots increased by 75%, and mark shot, of course, just to keep it up with a little bit. By default, mark shot does more damage than aim shot, but aim shot will crit more often against the exposed targets because they're vulnerable. That's fine, that's the interplay, but it's not, what is wrong with my nose? But overall, the course of time, that your aim shot will do more damage than your marked shot. Those are wind arrows again. But this is why crit is kind of strange. Crit will affect your other abilities, sure, but it's not going to affect aimed shot much more because it's already going to be crit capped, unless you take a different talent, which I'll go into later. So that's Mark for Death. Rapid Killing is True Shot will increase the critical strike damage by 50%. So then crits are double damage by default. So True Shot means you're doing 250% damage as a Marksman Hunter. So you have a 2.5 on all of your crits now instead of just a 2, which is really strong. Technically, by the amount of like weird math happens in World of Warcraft, it's actually it'd be 1.5, I suppose, because itself doubled times 0.5 additional. But yeah, it's 50% more critical strike damage during True Shot. You have Gust of Wind, which reduces the cooldown of Bursting Shot by 15%. So now Bursting Shot is a 25.5 second cooldown. Like, fine, whatever. Woohoo. Yeah, 25.5 seconds from 30. So, not incredibly amazing over here. Windrunner's Guidance is increases the damage of marked shot by 10%. Deadly Aim increases the critical strike damage dealt by aim shot by 10%. So now, aim shot is always a 10% stronger crit. So double, so it'd be 1.1 times the damage of your aim shot, right? Otherwise, a regular crit is times 1, right? Doubling it. But it's so weird because you gain this much extra crit damage on aim shot, even more on rapid killing during True Shot, so you think like crit might be really good. But then again, like, because crit is so stacked for aim shot anyway, it makes it awkward for math. It gets more awkward in a moment. Mark of the Windrunner is Wind Burst also applies vulnerability. So your unlock here will apply vulnerability to the target. Just 1 stack of it. Boop. So you got 1 stack of it, and then of course when you get the proc, you get 2 stacks for your mark, and then you get 3 stacks here, and again from good RNG, and all of a sudden you're at 3 stacks of vulnerability. So that's all of a sudden done for you. Which just helps the target swapping a little bit. It also just gives a little bit more utility to Wind Burst because it's just kind of does damage and gives you this movement speed path. So it's still funny that it's not working. I don't know why it's not working. It's so strange. All right. We've got a Healing Shell, which is Aspect of the Turtle heals you for 40% of your max health over its duration. That's like a whole lot I missed. I'm not a hunter. So, if I get smacked in the face by this guy real quick, what's up? No dead zone. How you know about that? Not some Garlic Jr. thing. Ow, that hurts. All right, so let's do this, which is a huge heal again to show how much Exhilaration heals for. Half your health. Yeah, it's fine. And then you'll do Turtle. And then I'll get a big old healer right there on my character for 40% of my max HP. So just more benefit to Aspect of the Turtle for the Marksman Hunter. Again, it's your only damage reduction cooldown, other than, you know, hitting a disengage and having the 10% from this. Windrunner's Guidance, we know that already. So those are all your unlocks. And the layout you'll see is kind of weird with the with Thas'dorah, because you're able to go all the way over here costs 4, and then you can go this way and it costs 4, but then you have to just do only 2 to get to Bullseye. But Bullseye is the reason why I think crit is also an awkward place for Marksman, which of course it helps earlier, but when your abilities damage the target below 20% HP, abilities, any ability, you'll gain 3% increased critical strike chance, globally, for 6 seconds up to 30 stacks. That's 90% crit passive. So they took away kill shot from you, but this is a better execute than kill shot, because you will crit cap. 90% crit, if I have 21 right now, I crit cap. In the VOD of testing, I did this at the very tail end of it, where I started, it takes a while. Marksman damage is so smooth and slow, I can't kill this damn target dummy. I could do it when I was playing on, Survival Hunter, I did it no problem. But I can't kill this target dummy as a Marksman Hunter. It's so hard. So it took me like 5 minutes to work it down. But you get 90% crit passive all the time as you're hitting things that are low HP. And the thing about this is, too, is if you're attacking things that are not part of the main Like if you're attacking ads, and you multi-shot on those ads, you'll gain multiple stacks of bullseye, and then it'll only last for 6 seconds. But on fights that have anything else that dies during the encounter, it will give you the bullseye stacks. So you'll have it for like the boss or whatever else to weave in. So like Scorpion, for example, when you keep killing those scorpions, right? Weaving in multi-shots and some mark shots, you'll gain the critical bonus for the whole fight, which makes crit even more awkward, because then you're going to have this huge crit bonus all the time for everything. And if you have a bunch of crit on your baseline gear, on fights like that, it just diminishes even more because you just waste it. So bullseye is crazy. What also you saw earlier is Legacy of the Wind Runner, which is aimed shot, has a chance to coalesce 6 extra wind arrows that shoot your target. It's just multi-strike. It's like Wind Fury and multi-strike rolled into one. My animations bug out when you start attacking without actually pulling your bow back. They're right there. There they go. They actually say it counts as aim shot in your combat log, which is a little bit strange. But all the damage is just part of aim shot's overall damage. But they do not gain the critical strike vulnerability bonuses. I don't think so. They gain the damage, but I haven't seen them like rampantly crit like a ton overall. But again, it's a Golden Dragon perk that looks like it's like a 0.7 RPPM or so. There's one right there. So they might gain the benefit now that I'm looking at it right now. That looks like they definitely gain the benefit. So, but they gain the damage bonus, and I guess now they gain the critical strike because they count as aimed shot. Which you have so much crit in aim shot, and aim shot is so much of your damage that it makes... There it goes again. Oh yeah. They have to gain that critical strike bonus. Holy crap. It just makes crit so, like, meh. But again, I'm not a math crafter, so I could be totally wrong here. Go back to the artifact again 1 second. We also have Call of the Hunter, which when marked shot fires off, Thas'dorah will have a chance to call forth a barrage of wind arrows to strike all vulnerable targets. So aim shot has this Wind Fury / wind arrow thing, and so does marked shot, but marked shots will AoE, because marked shot can hit multiple targets, whereas aim shots is very single target focused. So if I can get that to proc right now, that'd be wonderful. Probably not, though, because why would it want to proc right now when I'm recording? Of course not. We'll see if it actually wants to do it. Because if you have multiple things marked, you'll see... There they go, right there. It's just that really, really fast wind arrow volley just flies out of your quiver, sort of. Or your bag of holding, you know, it just flies out of yourself. But you do have quivers, by the way, if you didn't notice that there's a quiver on my back. There it is. The animation for the male dwarf, like, his shoulder cuts through it horribly. So, I don't know if they're ever going to fix that, but that is the synergies on your artifact weapon, which is why I wonder if they're going to go like Mastery Haste crit or Haste Mastery or Mastery Haste crit. I don't know. They'll figure it out. But I don't know how valuable crit is for you because your other abilities that basically aren't aim shot do so much less damage that crit is kind of like very supplementary. But we'll look at talents and we'll see about that. I'm going to go through your utility talents first to get those out of the way. So your utility talents are 45 and 75. You have Binding Shot, which is your little AoE you put down. And if they break the bind, so right now it binds these 2 targets within this little small reticle. But if this target were to walk away and break the little tether, it will break and stun them for 5 seconds. So it's your drop AoE and stun for helping crowd control. Wyvern Sting is just a ranged sap. Basically, a stinging shot that puts the target to sleep, incapacitating them for 30 seconds. Damage will cancel the effect, usable while moving. So you can cast that while moving for CC. And then Camouflage is you cannot use it in combat. You can drop combat on certain things, but not raid bosses, because raid encounters pulse combat over and over and over again, right? So you can't actually break combat from raids bosses normally to get your camouflage to work. But if you're questing or out in the world, or PvP, of course, you can be in combat with somebody, and then you can feign death. Then you can pop up and, and cast that camouflage. And when you're in camo for up to 1 minute, you're in stealth, and you'll heal for 2% of your health every 1 second. If you have a pet out, it does not heal your pet. Which it says it heals your pet right now, which is really funny, because when I tested it earlier, it did not let me heal my pet with it. But we'll check real quick if I can. I am actually curious. because the camouflage tooltip is the exact same thing for survival. But I did it on the stream today, and it did not heal my pet. I don't think it really matters too much, because you have mend pet and whatever anyway. But if you're actually going to use a pet as marksman, then what's wrong with you? But that's why I think the tooltip is broken for Marksman Hunter, because it's not supposed to it will heal your pet, I think. At least looked like it didn't earlier. So we'll do damage to our pet real quick here, and then we'll pop that up again in a moment. But come back over here. Ow. Zappy, no. Your other utility tier is Post Haste, which you saw a couple of times here. It is the vault back and your move all movement speed, slowing effects, and movement impairing effects, and you get a 60% sprint for 8 seconds. On Survival Hunter, it's through Harpoon. Far Strider is that your ability critical strikes have a 10% chance to reset the remaining cooldown of Disengage, which is okay, I guess, because you have a lot of crit on your aim shot and stuff like that, so you might get a lot more disengages a lot of the time. But Post Haste is really strong, and Dash is super sprint. Let's double check here real quick to see if my